What's up, y'all? First of all, when I tell y'all that workout kicked my ass, it kicked my ass. But it's weird because, like, I'm addicted. Like, when I go to the gym, I be addicted. Like, I be fiending. I don't even feel right if I miss a day. And then, seeing my results, that shit make you want to go back over and over again. Like, it's weird. Remind you of a fucking toxic ass relationship or some shit like that. But I wanted to talk about personal self-development. When I tell y'all I love me, like, I am so fucking in love with me. And it took me years to even be able to say that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you look back at my other videos, or those of y'all that personally know me, y'all know it took me a while to even look in the mirror at myself and just embrace myself and accept who I am. Because for a long time, I was looking at how other people viewed me. I was going off the opinions of other people and all the shit they said about me and all that shit. When I tell y'all I'm so in love with me, like when I look back over my life and I see that everything that I've overcame and I did shit the right fucking way, I was always, for many years, I was in survival mode. Many years, for a huge part of my life. And mind you, I'm gonna be 35 this year, but for about half of that time I was like in survival mode. I always wanted to figure out like how to stop feeling how I was feeling. I wanted to figure out how to have a better life. I wanted to always figure out more than what I was seeing when I was growing up and all that shit. Like, I was always in survival mode. And so a lot of my money, like when I pay my bills and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? I take care of my home. I do what I have to do for me. But there's money that I spend on myself for my self-development. I done been to seminars. I done bought hella books for, self-help books and shit like that. So as much as I do these videos and as much as I coach people personally, like, I have my own coach that I go to, and I'm constantly growing and I'm constantly evolving. You know what I'm saying? But I'm never been the one, like, first of all, I'm not materialistic. Okay, you'll never really catch me in anybody's mall for real. Like, every now and then I might treat myself to something like that. But as far as materials, I'm not pressed. I'm not the best dressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't worry about that shit because I understand that it comes in due time. It's a lot of people out here, they look good on the outside, dress nice as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Got a mouthpiece, they look good as fuck. But they essence and they mental, that shit is lacking. Because they never took the time. They put more time into looking good than they did into self-development. And ain't nothing wrong with looking good. I mean, you should try to look good. I mean, why wouldn't you? But at the end of the day, looking good by itself is not enough. Now, if you look good and then you got your mental and shit together, then you the shit. But me personally, I've always been focused on my self-development. I always wanted to figure out what's more out there than what I was seeing, from my childhood all the way up to now. Like, I always wanted more for myself. And what happens is when people overlook you, when people betray you, when people push you to the side, or, when people put you in a position where you are to yourself and you're lonely, I'm trying to tell you, that's the best fucking position, y'all. That's the best. At least I know it is for me. But I'm telling you, it's the best. It's just a lot of people can't embrace that because a lot of people are codependent. They just have to have somebody around them. They can't be content with themselves. And I tell you all the time that when you're to yourself, that's where you find you. You know what I'm saying? If you do not work on your self-development, what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of people going to judge you anyway, even when you're working on your self-development. But when you not putting in the work on yourself, when you're not working on your self-development, which is taking seminars, and sometimes you got to skip getting a new pair of Jordans, and instead of spending that money on them shoes, spend that money on self-development. You might have to take a course or two. That's what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always trying to figure out how to self-develop so that I can be a greater version for myself. There's no point in you looking good when deep down inside you feel like shit. What's going to happen is, if you don't focus on your self-development, you're going to allow the world and everybody else around you to define who you are. People are going to give their opinions about who you are. People are going to talk their shit. People are going to judge you. And then what's going to happen is, slowly but surely, you're going to start believing all that shit. You're going to start believing what they say because you haven't took the time to self-develop. And you're going to go off what they say to the point where you're going to start believing in it. And then once you believe in something, you're going to start moving in that way. You know how many times somebody overlooked me? You know how many times people chose somebody else over me? You know how many times people talk shit or threw their shade? And for a long time in my life, y'all, I went off of that. I tried to define myself based on how other people treated me. Because at that time, I wasn't working on my self-development. Just out here lost. Just out here bumping my fucking head and just looking dumb as fuck. But as my life continued to move forward, and I learned the lessons that I learned, and I knew I had to learn self-development. Because what happens is, the beast in me, those of y'all who know me, the beast in me was created because I didn't have no choice but to be to myself. It's something about when people overlook you, when people don't want to be your friend, when, family being fake as fuck. It's something about that point in your life where you're put in a position where you are strictly alone. You are to yourself. At that moment, you have all these thoughts that go through your head. And you either, like I said, be content with being a fucking victim, or you sit there and be like, okay, this is what it is right now. I'm to myself. Ain't nobody fucking with me. So what can I do? Work on you, duh. You came into this world alone, and you gonna leave out alone. You hear me? And I think people, they get so caught up in life that they forget that when you came out of your mother's womb, you was by yourself, unless you was a twin. But you was by yourself. You was alone. And when you leave here, ain't nobody gonna be in that casket but you. So the moments in your life where you are alone, when ain't nobody fucking with you, when you're just strictly to yourself, that's the time for you to figure out who you are through self-development. You learn what you learn growing up, and then as you get older and you become an adult, you go back and you look over all that shit that your parents try to teach you. You throw away what all was bullshit. You keep what was valuable, and then you self-develop. And your self-development comes from you actually wanting to learn some shit. You might have to pay for classes. You might have to get a coach. You might have to get a counselor. You might have to get a therapist. But whatever it is that you got to do in order to self-develop, you have to do it, and it's going to take sacrifices. Like I said, I'm not the best dressed. I ain't going to hold you. I'm not. Like, I never cared about that shit. You have a lot of people out here who are honestly in survival mode, but they still worried about looking good, and they still worried about what the next motherfucker think about them, and they still worried about all this irrelevant ass shit. But who cares? Because look at where you are right now. Are you even in a position to even worry about that shit? Are you even in a position to even worry about a bitch wanting to be with you or any of that shit? Like, no. You're not. You still have a lot of building to do, and you got to humble yourself and understand that you have to take care of you first. You have to take care of you first. You have to self-develop, and that requires you to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself about what you lack in, and you got to work on those things. No one is going to fuck with you harder than you. And then people can sense that. People go off energy. Energy is everything. And if people sense that you don't fuck with you, they not going to want to fuck with you. And that's facts. When you think about all those times you was rejected, and then you looking at it like, damn, why they rejected me? But have you ever looked at yourself? I had to do the same thing. Like, damn, why they keep rejecting me? Or why they not trying to be my friend? Or why she ain't trying to fuck with me? Sometimes you got to look at yourself. Look in the mirror. You have to look in the mirror. And a lot of times the answers to the shit that you want to know is because you haven't looked in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, you have to be real with yourself. And one of the best things about being honest with yourself is when you can be honest with yourself, and then you got people coming at you and pointing certain shit out about you, it ain't really gonna faze you because you already know. You already peeped it. You already did the self-evaluation. So me, you're not gonna see me at the mall for real. You're not gonna see me shopping and splurging and all that shit. Like, and I ain't gonna hold you. I need to do a little bit of shopping. But at the end of the day, I have always been so worried and pressed about my self-development because I give a fuck about me. And I spent a lot of years worrying about who fuck with me and who don't fuck with me and all this irrelevant ass shit at the end of the day, because all you have is yourself. You hear me? All you have is yourself. Like, seriously, I can't stress that to you enough. All you have is yourself. And you, the way you have yourself, like the way you carry yourself, your self-development, that's your anchor. That's part of your anchor in life. When shit don't fucking go right, when people leave you, or people betray you, or don't nobody want to be your friend, people don't support you, they don't motivate you, they don't pat you on the back, you have yourself. You are your own anchor. And you got to be able to hold, you got to be strong. You got to be able to be strong no matter what happens around you. You got to be able to keep yourself together no matter what, y'all. I'm telling you. Because when you fall apart, ain't nobody going to be there to hold you, bruh. Like, no one's really going to be there to hold you. You might have people that you can go talk to. People that you can vent to. But at the end of the day, during your midnight hours, when you are strictly to yourself, if you do not keep your composure, if you don't stand strong with everything that you're going through, you gon' fall, bruh. You gon' fall. And ain't nobody gonna pick you up but you. And it's not that, you know, people don't give a fuck. Most people don't give a fuck. But what I'm saying is, everybody is going through their own shit. Everybody is battling their own shit. Everybody is going through their own shit. So plenty of times, you're going to find yourself in your midnight hour. All you have is you. When you really learn this lesson, though, y'all, when you really learn this shit, for me, the beast in me, the way that I go hard, I just had one of my homies hit me up this morning. She talking about, you know, just talking to me, and we was, you know, chopping it up, and she was just basically admiring my work ethic. Admiring how hard I work. Admiring how hard I go on myself. because life taught me that shit. You feel me? I could have continued being a fucking victim. I could have continued pointing the fingers at everybody and, you know, saying if it wasn't for this, then I can be saying that just like a lot of other people. But for what? Because it gets you nowhere. That shit don't get you nowhere. It keeps you stagnant and it stunts your growth. I had to break up out of that shit. But if I didn't humble myself, y'all, enough to where I knew there was moments where I had to be alone, I'm telling you. Through my singleness, me being alone, me being to myself, me having to pat myself on the back, me having to wipe my own tears away, me having to do all that shit, that's what built me. It didn't feel good. I'm not saying it don't feel good. But what I'm telling you is, if you can embrace that, like, words can't even express, like, words can't really explain what I'm trying to tell y'all right now, for real. But if you listen to me, like, if you can embrace those times and look at it for what it can do for you in the long run, instead of just looking at it how, like, it don't feel good at the moment, watch how much you grow. All that other shit is gonna come. You know what I'm saying? All that materialistic shit, all that other shit is gonna come, because when you self-develop, when you work on your self-development, all them other blessings and shit, that shit gonna fall into place. But don't none of that other shit mean anything if you ain't right within. If mentally you ain't right. If your essence, your core ain't right. You know how many people out here look good, but they really ain't shit within? Putting on this fucking facade. And then motherfuckers falling for it. They not really right within. And it ain't till it's too late where people start realizing, like, damn. All they have is that they look good. But when you really get to know them and shit, like, they ain't got shit to offer. They don't even know who the fuck they are. Your self-development is everything, y'all. I can't stress that to you enough. And the day I fell in love with me and I started putting work in on me, moments where it was a moment where I'm just like, damn, I felt unloved. But Spirit told me, bitch. Spirit was like, you gotta love yourself. Fuck what everybody else think. Because here you are, you're wanting everybody else to love you, and you like, oh, they don't love me. Did it ever occur to you that they probably ain't love themselves? And guess what? When you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. You know what I'm saying? When you don't do the self-improvement on yourself, when you don't learn to love yourself and accept yourself, even during your flaws, because we are all flawed. We all fuck up. I fuck up. But when you can't embrace that shit, and when you embrace it, understand that you got to put in some work to change it, you ain't going to be no good for nobody else, bruh. Self-develop. You don't always have to go out there and buy the newest shoes that come out. You don't have to go out. You don't have to look flashy all the time. You got to understand that that shit fades away. Them shoes, that shit get worn out and they look old as fuck. Them clothes, some of y'all got clothes in y'all closet right now that still got tags on it. You was so pressed to buy it, but you ain't fucking wear it. Make it make sense. Instead of spending that money on that shit, won't you take the time to spend the money on taking a class on self-development, getting your mental right? Take some classes, learn a trade or something. Spend that money on that shit. And then, once you get that shit together, then you can add the other shit, because you really ain't missing out on shit. It's a lot of people out here that's faking it, bruh. They faking it. They don't really love themselves. Taking all these selfies, trying to put on their best, but failing to understand that they really look insecure. Because they do it so much. They do it so much that a motherfucker that got their mind together know that you only seeking validation. And ain't nothing wrong with a compliment. Ain't nothing wrong with getting a compliment. Ain't nothing wrong with a motherfucker saying you look beautiful or you look good or you look handsome. But the issue is when you out here looking for it, when you don't know for a fact, you supposed to know that you look good. When I receive compliments, I say thank you, but it don't fucking faze me. Because I know that shit for myself. You got to learn to self-develop, self-improve to the point where you are so in love with yourself. Can't nobody tell you shit. You hear me? Do not be out here and allow people to get their opinions and shit and then take their opinions and define yourself based on their fucking opinions. A lot of them people, they don't even know who the fuck they are. But they so quick to give an opinion. And then on top of that, they don't even fucking really know you. They don't know you like that. So why are you considering what the fuck they say? I be so lost in myself, y'all. I be so lost in myself. I be so lost in my grind that I don't even give a fuck to give an opinion. You hear me? I'm so busy, and because of me being busy and me focusing on myself, I be tired. I don't even fucking notice or care to give an opinion of somebody else. I ain't never been that type. I don't pay attention like that to other people. I don't have the time or the energy to even care to that degree. You're not busy enough if all you do is sit there and worry about what somebody else thinks. You got to know I'm telling you, you got to know for a fact that you're beautiful. You got to know for a fact that you're worthy. You got to know for a fact that you the shit, bro. You got to know that. Because people are constantly going to judge you. And then people going to test you. When they see that you have a certain level of confidence, people are going to try to purposely test you to see if you really about what you say. To see if you really as hard as you claim to be. To see if you really fuck with you as much as you say you fuck with you. People will do that shit, y'all. I'm telling you. Self-develop. Which takes sacrifice. You're going to have to step away for a minute. Instead of spending that money on them shoes you're going to have to spend it on some classes or a book that you need to help you. A counselor, a therapist, somebody. That shit is so important. I can't stress it to you enough. I'm telling you. I can't stress it to you enough. I'm a living witness. Like me focusing on my self-development, and I ain't had no choice but to focus on it. The beast in me came from me being neglected. Me being betrayed. Motherfuckers not want to be my friend. Motherfuckers not want to fuck with me. It puts you in a place to where you are to yourself. And when it comes to being in that place where you to yourself, I mastered that shit. You hear me? That's the best place for me. That's the best place I can be in, because that's where I became who I am. I mastered that shit. So when you put me there, it don't fuck with me. And that's how y'all gotta be. That's how you have to be. And anything else outside of that is just a bonus. It doesn't make or break you. It does not define you. Y'all better work on your self-development.